Hi everyone, I'm so excited for 2023. I have awesome goals that I want to work towards, and I hope you do too. If you didn't watch my last video on how I lost my motivation and why it happened, you should watch it because the message is timely given that we're all setting goals for 2023. This video talks about mindset and our ability to reach our goals and how to use our mindset to ensure that we achieve them. If you watched my last video, you know that I lost my motivation in this fourth quarter. Not only did I lose my motivation and lacked energy, but I lost my creativity. And when I say I lost my creativity, I mean that things were not going in my head that were new, creative, insightful. I was deeply worried about the fact that I didn't feel creative, couldn't think about good connections, couldn't think about YouTube ideas to share with you all, and it was concerning. Of course, the learning was that I was deprioritizing myself and my creativity took a hit. If you want to learn more about how it all worked out, listen to the last video. This video actually comes from the return of my creativity. So if you are new to the concept of mindset, psychologist Carol Dweck wrote this book called Mindset. In the book, she identifies fixed mindset and growth mindset and comes up with this framework for understanding mindset and motivation by studying kids. The concept of fixed and growth mindset has now been applied to a lot of different populations in a lot of different industries. The core concept means that if you have a fixed mindset, you have a belief system that things may become naturally to you and that there isn't much power and or flexibility for you to grow and expand beyond that. Talent, the intelligence, your ability, your capabilities, things are pretty fixed. You are who you are, and growth is very slow. The process of growth is hard, emotionally draining. It triggers negative emotions for people who have a fixed mindset. A growth mindset person believes they're always growing and there's always opportunity to change and adapt and become very flexible. And so there is a perception that they hold a lot more power in being able to do more. And in that belief system, they have the capacity to enjoy the process of growth, which is a hard thing for people with fixed mindsets. How does this connect with your performance? I will link some resources. You can take the quizzes. They are free and available to figure out where you land on the continuum. You can be growth mindset in one area and fixed mindset on another area. So don't think that this is just black and white, but it has a big impact in your ability to perform at work, meet your goals, and to be quick in your ability to achieve projects, milestones, and has an impact in your performance and how quickly you achieve your outcomes. And the best example I can give you are my parents. My mother leans more to a fixed mindset. My father leans more to a growth mindset. The outcomes in their life, their performance, and their vision of the world completely different. It was seriously an interesting experience to live with people who had two distinct mindsets. And at that point, when I was young, I didn't have these concepts or terms to define it. I just knew that they thought and saw the world through different lenses. So what was my mom's mindset? I say it was fixed. She has a really hard time embracing change, deciding to take up opportunities. She is really triggered by everyday inconveniences, things like needing to apply for health insurance, needing to fix a car, needing to travel. The amount of emotional and mental energy she expends ruminating on a project or a task that needs to be completed is significant. My father, on the other hand, doesn't see inconveniences or projects or challenges as anything but a thing to solve. I can't even call it a problem because my father has never taken something that needs to be solved and complained about it or thought about it as a problem. They're just things that happen that need to be resolved, and there's always a resolution to something. Let me give you a clear example. My mother, she applies for Medi-Cal, which is California health insurance for low-income individuals, and she has to apply it for health insurance because the cost of health insurance in the US is really expensive. I ain't rich yet, so it's not like I can pay for premium healthcare. So every year she has to apply for health insurance. And with any kind of federal services, you have to provide documents, you have to prove your income, and every year without fail, the process of going through this is hard on her. And of course it's hard on her because she does not speak English. She doesn't know how to read English. She's still very analog in all of her life, right? And so it is a frustrating experience for an immigrant person living in America with technological advances and expectations to provide a lot of information or documentation to receive a service or a benefit. However, it is a pretty consistent process. Every year, the process is the same. She wants to forego her health insurance. She doesn't want to deal with paperwork. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. And so she ruminates on the upcoming renewal. She curses it out. She will be on edge with everybody. I've been out of the house since I left for college, but I went back one summer when she was going through this process, and she spent the whole day complaining about the process and just saying like, I'm fine, I can forego health insurance. After a long day of like listening to her, I got snappy, and of course I regretted it because it is a process to have to go through. It's like the DMV, right? When we go to the DMV, you're so going to be there. The constant fight for her translates to a lot of other things. It translates to planning for this event that's going to happen in the future and being angry, annoyed, and frustrated way before it's needed. It also means that as the starting point gets closer, she's already spending days angry, frustrated. And so the starting point of getting the project started or working through the tasks starts way before, and a lot of it is just mental and emotional energy that she's expending, complaining about this task. Finally, when she gets to the task where it's like, okay, you have to go and talk to the professionals at the office. You have to go and ask them what they need. You have to find your documentation. You have to provide all of these papers and come back so that we know that your application is complete. By the time all of that gets done, of course, there's the frustration of having to do all of those tasks. And so then when finally the workers say, hey, your application is complete, she's so relieved that it's over and done with. There is no acknowledgement of the completion of a task. It's just, it's done, it's over with. Oh, I can move on. But of course, there's everyday living experiences that happen again. And another common one for her is traveling to Mexico, because she goes, takes care of my grandparents because they're elderly. And so the process for her to prepare for that trip, which is an annual trip, it is a long process. And a lot of it is just a lot of waste of emotional and mental energy. It really drains her out mentally, emotionally, and even physically, right? The constant rumination on the process, the challenge, the task, or the many tasks to complete a project drain her, that by the time she completes a task, it's like she's so done with this. And I remember being young and seeing how often small things were turned into big things because of her reaction to tasks that needed to be completed. As a young person, they always felt like the reaction to a task or a project that needed to be completed was so much bigger than it needed to be. So it was in direct contrast to my father. My father, he's a growth mindset kind of person. He too has to apply for health insurance and provide documentation. His ability to work through problems is sometimes imperceptible. Sometimes we don't even know that there is a problem because he fixed it. When you would know that he solved something, a challenge, completed a task, is because he was coming to celebrate. He would arrive home with tacos, always food. A lot of the time he's like, oh yeah, I fixed this. And then people would be like, you fixed what? What was the issue? The turnaround time for him to deal with everyday inconveniences, projects and tasks that needed to get done were like straight line, knows about the problem, goes up, amount of energy exerted is only on resolving the task, comes down, and then he's like, celebration. That is how quickly things for him happened. It was always very interesting to see how little emotional reaction he had to things that were considered inconveniences in life. So if we did know about them, of course, my mom would have this outsized reaction. My dad was like, okay, let's go take care of this. He was funny because he was up before anybody was up. He was dressed and he would take off and be the first in line at the office, first in line to talk to people at any office that he had to deal with. He too does not speak English. People still do not understand his English because he doesn't articulate his words properly, but he would be able to solve any kind of conflict, task, project that was essential to be resolved. And so he would go talk to people, get clarity on what he needed to do, what documents he needed to bring, what were the issues, and then he would come back that same day, grab everything, and then he would take off and go back and provide everything, get confirmation that it was done. And that's how quickly things would resolve. Then he would go and grab food or something and celebrate the completion of a task or a challenge that had presented itself. It was the oddest thing. For a long time, we teased him about how quickly he resolved things that seemed, especially to my mother, like hard to even do. What's the takeaway about these mindsets and how they manifest? Well, the fixed mindset that my mom possesses is very draining. It's draining on her. It drains her of her emotional, mental, and physical energy. It is draining on the people around her, like her kids. It is draining on any person that is working with her. If she's frustrated, the person who's going to help her is going to get frustrated with her too. A lot to expend even before getting started, right? On a project or a task or a goal. Then you get started and you're already at a negative, right? You've already depleted what emotional, mental energy you're going to need to complete the actual task. That could be very hard depending on how big these tasks or the goals are that you're trying to achieve. If you've already expended so much mental and emotional energy way before you even get started, then you're going to have a hard time working through the actual task or project. Working with folks can become a hard thing to do because you're already frustrated that you have to do the work. And then if you have to do it in partnership with other folks, it gets hard. But not only that, by the time that you're done with the project, you have nothing left. You don't have any reserves. You don't have emotional, mental, and physical energy to celebrate the accomplishment of a task. And she is done as soon as it's done, and she just wants to put it out of her mind. So there's no space or place to actually celebrate any achievements, any successes, anything. There is no space for her, no emotional energy to celebrate that she achieved anything. And so therefore, as the years go by, she can't really remember, like, did she complete things? Did she achieve things? Because there is no marker, there's no celebration, there are no memories. In contrast with my father's energy is directed to the task at hand. He learns about the problem, he works through the problem, then he comes down, celebrates, and then it goes super smoothly. There is no dwelling, there is no ruminating, there is no processing, there is no waste of mental and emotional energy on thinking through the problem. It is like, how do we solve it? And that's where all of that mental, emotional, and physical energy on trying to solve the task or the outcome or the project, then he has a good amount of energy left to celebrate however small the task was. He would come home with tacos for everybody, just like Oprah, hot Cheetos for everybody. And so there are so many memories stuck to him celebrating, overcoming simple, mundane challenges and also really big ones. I have many more memories of my dad marking the celebration of a project or task than I do with my mom. I am sharing this with you so that you keep that in mind as you're working through your projects, as you're working through your goals. When you catch yourself struggling with starting a project, it is a good idea to check yourself. Where am I? Am I leaning more towards a fixed mindset, expending so much mental, emotional energy on just refusing to engage? If you are refusing to engage in a task or project because you're not ready, that is okay. So you should say, I am not ready. Let's push it out to 2 months from now. Is it that you don't want to start the project because the decisions that you have to make are tough and you're not ready to make those decisions, but they have to be made? Being able to identify why you're expending so much mental and emotional energy on a task or a project that needs to be completed in a timely manner matters. There are projects that can be solved quickly, that you can go get them started and complete it. And I had not put these two things together. There have been times where I spent a lot of emotional energy not wanting to start a project, but once I'm done with it, I was like, that did not take a long time. Why did it take me so long to get started? Why did I fight it so long? And it's interesting because now the connection has been made about how my parents both take on projects and how they address everyday inconveniences. This is really important to consider as you're working through your goals in 2023. Where is my mindset today? Where is my mindset this month? How will my mindset impact my performance, my goals? Where do I want to direct my mental and emotional energy? Those are all really good questions to ask yourself as you're working through your goals in 2023. So I hope that in your goals, you have your weekly check-in or at least a monthly check-in so that you keep track of how much progress you're making. And the two questions that you should be asking is, am I prioritizing myself? Like my last video, that was the main takeaway. And two, where's my mindset? Where's my mindset today? Where has it been this week? And where do I feel like it's going this month? How is my mindset going to impact my motivation? How is my mindset going to impact my performance? How is it going to impact my outcomes for this month? Being able to assess the impact and be aware of the mindset will help you identify the things that will hold you back from meeting and achieving whatever goals you've set for 2023. I hope that this was a helpful video. I know that I've made a new connection and I'm super happy that my creativity is returning and that new ideas are coming from my everyday life. I hope that you got something from this video. I know it's a little bit unstructured and chaotic, but I really wanted to get the message out before the year started. I hope 2023 is a really good year for you, and I am going to continue this discussion around goal setting for the month of January. Subscribe to the channel and drop any questions that you have in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I can.